Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Danube Region Program annual event. My name is Simona. I am the head of Joint Secretariat. And first of all, we would like to thank the EUSDR Presidency of Bosnia-Herzegovina for this wonderful event opening. And yes, let's hope that music sets the tone for a nice and relaxed discussions during this 2 days of event. Today, in our annual event, we would like to discuss, first of all, and to look back on the. So, sorry for that. We will look back at cooperation in the Danube region to the past and to see what was the added value and how we can improve for the future for developing our region. Also, we would like to look at the modernization of the EU Cohesion Policy in the future. And for this purpose, I kindly invite Mr. Moray Gilland, who is head of Unit D1 in the DG Regio, to have his opening speech. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Simona. Can I just check that the sound quality is okay?
Yes, we hear you.
Very good, just to be sure. Thank you very much for this opportunity to set the scene for this plenary session. The annual forum, organised by the Presidency of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the Danube Region Programme Plenary specifically emphasise a pivotal aspect of community, partnership and transnational cooperation fostered through our Interreg programmes and the macro-regional strategies together. The Interreg transnational programmes have long been a cornerstone of collaborative success, creating pathways for sustainable development, economic innovation and regional cooperation. For more than 25 years, Interreg programmes have been a key part of the EU's cohesion policy, helping regions work together to reduce disparities and share solutions. The Danube Regional Programme covers one of Europe's most vibrant and diverse corridors, stretching from the Black Forest to the Black Sea across 14 countries, including 9 EU member states and 5 candidate countries. This macro-region forms one of Europe's most diverse and dynamic territories, a home to over 110 million people, where EU cohesion and enlargement policies come together in practice. The Danube programme has always stood out from the point of view of its scale and its scope. It connects partners along the river basin on issues like innovation and digitalisation, environmental protection and climate resilience, smart mobility, energy transition, and governance and institutional capacity, to name but a few. But the programme not only funds projects, but it has also been building metaphorical bridges across borders, systems and policy levels, as it helps accession and candidate countries prepare for EU membership by enabling them to work alongside member states on an equal basis. The Commission believes that the Interreg Danube Region Programme, together with all transnational Interreg programmes, must build on what they have achieved in past decades, such as successful cooperation structures, policy development platforms, and capacity building possibilities. We cannot stand still. There is a perpetual need to evolve and adapt and grow our cooperation together. As the Danube region itself evolves, and as geopolitical and economic shifts take place across Europe, so cohesion policy itself is gradually adjusting to new needs, taking steps forward in its modernisation. And central to this evolution is, of course, the new multi-annual financial framework proposal, which will guide investment priorities and resource allocations across the EU from 2028 onwards. The proposed multi-annual financial framework is structured to be more agile and responsive, and it will play a critical role in enabling regions to address emerging challenges and capitalise on opportunities in the future. The Commission's proposal places Interreg as a distinct, unique element within cohesion policy, with a new separate Interreg plan, combining Interreg-specific rules and programme content in one document. There is much continuity in the Commission's proposal for Interreg. We attach a great deal of importance to building on the development and maintenance of trust and working relationships that have been created over time. But there are also adaptations. And to pick out just one or two of those, one, possibly the most important of all, is that Interreg receives a higher allocation of funding than we've ever received before, an increase from under 9 billion euros in the current period to a proposal of over 10 billion in the next. One of the key evolutions for programme delivery for Interreg, but across the multi-annual financial framework proposal as a whole, is the move to a performance-based approach. While preserving the flexibility that has allowed programmes to address a wide range of topics, the focus becomes now on what do we hope to achieve? What can we deliver with the funding that is allocated to us, rather than what is each individual euro being spent on? And an important element that should not be underestimated in the proposal is the removal of any thematic concentration requirement. This is designed to enable greater flexibility, and we will continue to expect Interreg programmes to support topics like connectivity, the green transition, economic resilience, etc. But the removal of thematic concentration makes that process more adaptable and more flexible, and allows each programme to adapt to its own particular circumstances. And a final element that is worth noting in the Commission's proposals are the three Interreg-specific objectives: the continuation of better cooperation governance and a safer and more secure Europe, and a new third specific objective just for Interreg, which is very important in the Danube context: more resilient regions bordering Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine. This overall new framework is designed to be more responsive, more strategic, and better aligned with regional realities, and it means both opportunities and responsibilities for a programme such as the Danube region. There is a need to make the most of this new flexibility. There is a need to ensure an ever stronger alignment between the macro-regional strategy and the programme. And there is a need to continue to finance tangible, relevant, visible cooperation projects across the entire region. It is important for a programme like the Danube region to reflect on the areas where the programme can make a difference. For example, how can the countries, both member states and candidate countries, cooperate in the best way possible to make the region more competitive and more resilient? How do we address the continuing challenges facing our environment, brought on by depopulation, and the impact continued to be generated by the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine? Looking into the future then, it is of fundamental importance that the transnational programmes fully understand and address Europe's needs and priorities, reinforcing the unique role of cooperation in addressing the common challenges we face. A specific word on the link with the Danube strategy itself, where the Danube region programme has already set an excellent example of coordination and funding opportunities. The programme supports the strategy by unlocking co-funding for the macro-regional governance through the dedicated call 3 years ago, and this sets a very strong baseline for the future work on cooperation and the synergies that need to be enhanced and carried out in the future as well. Turning to the question of territoriality, our geopolitical context has changed utterly in the last few years. Cooperation with Russia and Belarus is no longer on the agenda. And as we saw yesterday, if you were following the Commission's announcements on the 2025 enlargement package, the accession paths for Moldova and Ukraine in particular are reshaping Europe's borders and partnerships. How can Interreg programs best incorporate new opportunities for reshaping and developing how programs and projects reflect and support these changes? One area perhaps to reflect on is, while the Danube Region programme has evolved its geography multiple times across programming periods, and I would suggest that geographic changes would not be the first consideration for post-2027, the programme could look at the idea of supporting some of the new functional cooperation zones that are emerging along the EU-Ukraine-Moldova border, or indeed in the lower Danube and Black Sea region as well. The Danube programme has a strong role in creating these kind of connections, increasing synergies and cooperations with other frameworks, such as the Adriatic Ionian and indeed the Black Sea Basin as well. The other key topic I want to emphasize in these remarks concerns enlargement. Interreg is a vital process for helping countries that want to join the EU to be more connected with their neighbouring member states, working together in the only programmes that are delivered in shared management that candidate countries can benefit from in advance of accession. And both the programme itself and indeed the macro-regional strategy enable the candidate countries concerned to work on an equal footing with member states in both shaping priorities, coordinating policies, and delivering joint projects. And as we've seen through the Bosnia and Herzegovina presidency this year, through Ukraine's presidency a few years ago, this dedication to working together across all participating Danube countries has never been stronger. The Danube Region programme, as a result, is much more than just regional cooperation. It is a key driver of integration in the context of EU enlargement. As we look forward then, one message is clear from my side. The Danube Region is at the core of Europe, connecting eastern and central regions right through the river basin, bringing together EU member states and candidate countries. It continues as a living example of European integration. The challenge for us all is that the next generation of the Danube programme has to continue to be that bridge. It has to continue to go further in supporting territorial integration, resilience, and sustainable growth for the benefit of all. In conclusion then, the Commission reaffirms its commitment to an EU cohesion policy that values modernisation and strengthens transnational alliances. And we reaffirm our commitment to the power of cooperation that is truly visible through both the Danube Region programme itself and the Danube macro-regional strategy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Moray, for your availability and these kind words. What I think we should take back is that the future and the future of cohesion policy in the view of the European Commission is more flexibility, but to strengthen actually cooperation, especially in the Danube region, because we are talking here about the Danube region, and for the program itself to continue to be the bridge between candidate countries and EU member states in order to build a resilient region. That being said, now I invite Imre Csalagovits, who is the head of our program, Danube Region Program Managing Authority, to talk to us about the evolution of cooperation in the region and how the program has actually contributed to the competitiveness and to the welfare of the Danube region countries. So, Imre, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I will continue what our colleague from the Commission just said, that the Danube program is somehow is an instrument, a particular special instrument, which is helping all the countries to better integrate to each other. And in that sense, I will also elaborate how it could be used for accession, because we are talking about the past, present, and the future. And then just to shortly summarize, I mean, the past is that we have a history of 35 years. When we started this type of cooperation in these programs, it was mid-90s when only 4 member states were in the region, basically. And then in the process, which was developing step by step, we had 9 or 5 more member states. Overall, we have 5 member states in the region. And all the other countries became accession countries. So eventually we have these two political structures, is one, the member states and the accession countries. But what we reach by today, it is the step by step, I will elaborate it more, that we have a system, a financial system, which is allowing each country to participate in the same level, which is also including not the management, the program management in Budapest, which we are running the program at the central level, but including all the system of the partner states, including the systems of the accession countries, including the Bosnian system, the Serbian, the Montenegrins, the Ukrainian, and the Moldovan system, which are all complementary, all operating very well, without any problem. And even now we see that, particularly in the Western Balkan countries in the last period, also the content of the projects became competitive. So at the very moment, we hardly can say that we have to still build capacities because the capacity is there. So eventually in the framework what we are running, that you have reached, I mean, all the countries are reached the same level. And when we're building capacities, then we are seeing also for the member states, because sometimes they were lagging behind with comparing with the accession countries. So we're talking about the system, and the system you are running and the accession country running in our program, it is complementary. And it's an ERDF program, which is European Regional Development Fund. It's not IPA. So it means that Bosnia, for example, participating in this program with their structure, they already completely in line with the EU rules, and you have the capacity to run a program for structural funds. So this is also accession, but it's not a political sense. So the technical level running faster than the political level, but this is something what is show us something for the future, because we have to continue that thing and to prepare the accession and all other challenges with Schengen and other political framework, but we have to manage in one moment, and then before and after we have the instrument to cooperate. So I will try to be, I don't know how to tap it. Maybe okay, thank you. So I will also say what I want. Oh, yeah, I remember. So first of all, we are talking about integration. We have more or less different milestones, but we have to take into account directly. But we are working anyway. We have these countries, 14 sovereign countries, and these 14 sovereign countries cooperating everywhere in all areas which is possible, where there is something to do together without considering the political status. And it means integration. Then, of course, we have milestones, and the accession is a major milestone. It's happened already 3 times in our program area, and we are expecting this happening several times in the future. So this is a kind of instrument what we are not running, but we are considering. And it is an important milestone. The same for Schengen. I mean, Schengen is also an important aspect of the cooperation, not only accession. Remember that even Romania and Bulgaria access to EU, and for very long they could not access the Schengen system. So, for example, Hungary-Romanian border, everything was ready, the roads were connected, but for a decade, we could not use the roads because of the decisions, political level, European level. This was blocking it. So it's also an important element what we cannot influence, but became prepared. So they are important elements of the process what we have to consider, but we are not the one who are organizing it. But the integration is the key word here. That also means the capacity building already elaborated a bit at the beginning. I mean, there are instruments to build capacities for all kind of EU needs, and it is basically financed by the IPA programs or other commission funds or other instruments. Also, member states are helping, but they're always sort of different format to help you. But what I already said, that what you have, they're already able to do. I mean, you see that that the controllers in Bosnia are working the same way and even sometimes better than in the member states. So I mean, you are prepared. I mean, in all consideration, you are prepared, you're accessed. And the accession is not only related to the partner states, it's also related to the whole region, because accession is happening, and it also means that there's an impact. This is more a benefit, but also there are definitely some kind of difficulties to do it. It's a big step, and it's changing a lot of things. So we will elaborate a couple of content-wise issues by the colleagues. We have some kind of discussion right after my presentation. For example, we are talking about demography and demographic changes. I mean, we already have an issue that people are moving from east, west, brain drain, a lot of aspects, which is also influencing even some member states, but definitely the accession countries. And when the borders will be open, particularly after Schengen, there's also something which should be managed. It is the labor market, whatever, is also something, but definitely there will be some changes, and there will be positive and negative impacts on this. And also the physical part, I mean, the environment and the water and the climate change, whatever it is, these are issues which are not related to borders anyways, it's already here. So this we have to manage together. This is also what for example, we have a lot of issues with the water now, because water getting less and less, and this we have to manage together. This is all the issue what the integration is important, and then we have to deal with, without accession or with accession. Then from our side, I mean, also we talk about the whole process and the way as we were running. I mean, when we started, we were personally, but also most of the colleagues, we were accession countries as well, like you now. And then we set up the system, we managed the program, and we have the understanding of the external rules as well. Eventually, it is therefore, of course, we could better set up an even as, because we understand both words somehow. But very frankly, this sharing of experiences, we can of course continue to support whatever. But the point is more that each country, I think this is the major part of the accession, have to start to think it over their own interest, and then try to articulate with other member states, with the Commission, a different level. So, and it is more an independent work, and in the country to be innovative, to be independent. And this is what you have to do anyway. We are helping you, but we cannot do for you. We're just helping, we can advise things, but you would know better. And if you know better, then you are accessed. You can be successfully accessed to EU. And it is a competition between member states, whatever, and you have to find out what is your interest, and then to be able to articulate, and then have coalitions, whatever. You have to learn how to do it. And your best partners are the member states who are competing with you, but also they are in coalition with you. So this is what you have to learn and to manage. This is part of the accession. So anyway, you have a full participation, and I already said that the DRP program, the Danube Region program, is an ERDF program. So where you are participating, that you are already accessed to EU. At least on technical level or framework, you are accessed. And there's only a few words about it, just because I was mentioning in the past, and I will just tell you exactly how fast and which way it was changing this happened. And we started, it was 96 when the program was started, and it was a bigger area, which was more that time the accession area, which was very much focused into accession. So it was a bigger area called CATSES program. It is the Central European, Adriatic, Danubian, and Southeast European space. So there was two different versions was running. But in fact, the reality was that funding was only for the member states, for the 4 member states, and plus Hungary managed that time innovative management of the FAR funds, so that the 5 countries has money at that time. But at the beginning, there was no money for other countries. They were partners, but without money, it's difficult to have a full participation. The second cut says when it was happened, that was in the middle, the big accession happened, where Hungary, whatever, Slovenia, several countries are access to the EU, and a few years after Romania and Bulgaria as well. So then in the second CATSES, the map is about the second CATSES, where most of the area already became EU member. But also at the same time, the space became too big, and it was divided into two, and the southern part became the Southeast European program. But the Commission and the member states agreed that we will manage. So from Budapest is a accession, a new member state. So then we set up the system, and we start to run a program which is very much focused on the accession that time. So it was more, you see that the geography was the Western Balkan countries are around with the member states, and it was a kind of joint task to try to prepare the accession, or at least to start to integrate the space. And then it is again changed. we had divided again the programs with some good reason and some bad reason. So we have the Danube program because we got Germany and Czech Republic here, but the southern part was formed like Adriatic program. So now a bit, this geography is better for a couple of things. It is more related to the Danube catchment area, which is not only the Danube River, it is a region, but eventually for physical, for environmental stuff, it is more compliant because Adriatic is a very different physical structure. But for the accession, it is a bit disadvantages because then we divided the accession countries between the two programs. So we have Ukraine and Moldova, and then Bosnia, Montenegro, and Serbia, but not North Macedonia and Albania, which is we are sharing with Adriatic. So then we have to cooperate with the Adriatic program, with Adriatic space, what we do. So this is one thing what we have to do. And this also, as Commission said, we have a new structure, the Black Sea is also other geography where we have to cooperate in the future. So we take it seriously, particularly we know very well the colleagues in the Adriatic program. Even we were managing the projects for them before because it was in the south, it was one single space. So we had colleagues from Italy, whatever, in several countries. So eventually for us, not a strange thing, but in the future, we try to manage this accession story more together with the other countries. And this is the Danube Region program, which is now. The one point that I put in red because we changed, it was originally the Danube Transnational program, we changed the Danube Region program. And the reason is the change because there was some misunderstanding that it is a program about the Danube River. It's a region, so it's nothing, it's just named because of the river. It's for most countries, it's not a spatial dimension, it is a river, but still, we call this region Danube Region. So Bosnia or Czech Republic is the same way, it's part of the Danube region than Hungary or Austria, who is in the river. So it has no meaning. 99 projects are not dealing with the Danube River itself. Just do not worry about it. And it's more clear now. And the last slide, that in the future, yes, I think it's absolutely clear, getting very clear that the program is going to be continued. So of course, this is not decision done yet, but it is we are starting to prepare the new program. We are not necessarily doing a book revolution. The regulation is changing very much the management model that we have to deal with, and we have to prepare. But what we should do, I think, together, and I think it is what we like to call the accession countries to be more active because they were never very active. It is what I am really saying, that we have to really think it over strategically, what is your interest, and then try to put in the programming. This is, and not only as the partners, because partners that you already have, and they have their interest too also in the future. The government should start to think it over together with the regions and the cities, whatever, what would be the best for Bosnia, and then try to discuss with other countries. And if you go with ideas, then it is shared by other countries. This could be the new content of the program. But you have to start to think strategically in that sense. Then also with the cooperation with the USDR, it will be decided by the member state, but from the management point of view, we would recommend to continue as it is now, more or less with the same way, same budget, more or less. This is working rather well. It is one of the best models, so the Commission said, and I think it is something that we have to continue. What I already said, that if you like to run this accession and to provide more support and provide you the content for accession, it's not like the political process, it's more how to build your capacities, how to build structures, how to learn how to deal with strategical issues. Then we have to cooperate with Adrian and the Baltic, because then we can cover the whole accession space. So this is what I wanted to say. For the most important things for the program is the content. For you also, the content is where you can access, where you can learn, where you can develop your stuff. And then we continue as we normally do with the content, with 2 areas, but my colleagues will present you. And thank you very much to listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Imre. So what is the conclusion that we can draw from Imre's presentation is that major one is integration is not only concerning the candidate countries, but EU integration concerns candidate and member states, because the challenges of my neighbor are my challenges. And because we are here to talk also about the content and the challenges from a thematic point of view of the region, Of course, we cannot tackle all. We have challenges related to innovation, competitiveness, environmental challenges, demographic change, aging of population. And because the time is very short, today we decided to focus on two discussions, and one is related to water scarcity and droughts in the region, and what transnational cooperation can and where transnational cooperation can intervene in this topic. And the other one is related to the demographic challenges of the region and how these demographic challenges are affecting the competitiveness itself of the Danube region. So I invite my colleague, Gusztav Csomor, to start the first discussion on water scarcity and drought. Thank you.
Good afternoon. As it was mentioned, the Danube region faces several different challenges today, at least in this panel. What we will focus on is connected to the global challenge of climate change, which has, of course, many different aspects and effects on the region. One feature of this is that the average temperature is rising. More extreme weather is affecting the region, and also the frequency and duration of dry periods are also increasing in the region, which of course affects the water balance of the Danube River Basin. And this results more frequent and longer duration of water scare and drought periods in the region. That's the topic what we will discuss today. Since this water scarcity impacts not only the ecosystem in general, aquatic and terrestrial as well, but also the society and its economic impact, considering in general water management as well as the drinking water supply or the agriculture, forestry, in the certain water demanding industries, or nature protection or inland navigation. So in this short panel discussion, we will check how much, while the challenge is relevant in the whole region, and in many countries, efforts are made already on national level. In this short discussion, we will try to observe with four experts how much this topic is relevant on the transnational macro-regional level, and whether there are tasks to be done on this level. For this, I would like to invite, as I mentioned, four experts. Ms. Birgit Vogel, who is the Executive Secretary of the International Convention for the Protection of the Danube region. Ms. Gordana Kozhurova, who is the program specialist of the Europe and Central Asia region of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. She's an agriculture engineer by expertise. Mr. György Konstantin, who is one of the coordinator of the Environmental Risk Priority Area 5 of the EU Danube Region Strategy. And he is also Deputy General Director of the General Directorate for Waters in the Ministry of Environment in Romania. And Dr. Zsolt Kozma, who is an associate professor at the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, and he is an environmental engineer by profession. Let's start with the, let's say, the macro-regional policy level, ICPDR. In 2018, the ICPDR updated the strategy on adaptation to climate change for the Danube River Basin. And in the framework of the ICPDR, the Danube Ministerial Declaration in 2022 identified water scarcity and drought as a significant water management issue, which is also reflected in the latest Danube River Basin Management Plan. Ms. Vogel, I would like to ask you to summarize for the audience briefly what the ICPDR could do to facilitate the coordination of actions needed for climate and water resilience within and across the Danube River Basin, and of course in connection to water scarcity and drought issues. What are the key challenges, tasks, and what if you could share some achievements already?
Yes, thank you very much for the question, and of course also for the invitation of the ICPDR to this esteemed panel. And you mentioned it already, the ICPDR has a climate change adaptation strategy in place since 2018, and climate change and including its extreme events became a significant water management issue in the frame of the Water Framework Directive. I can also say that droughts became a special item for the ICPDR 2.5 years ago. So the heads of delegations, so on a higher level, the topic is being discussed in order to tackle droughts in a coherent way across the Danube River Basin. Overall, I also want to say, and I think you know about that climate change impacts affect the Danube River Basin already significantly, and there's an increasing trend, and I'm speaking in that sense, extreme flood events, extreme drought events. I think we need to be aware that will be an increasing competition over water for various purposes, and we need to be prepared for that. So tackling as well as achieving an equitable use of water and water resilience across the basin is really essential. And all of these are challenges. So I summarize the challenges, and I want to go a little bit back into the history and provide a little bit of details on that. The Danube River Basin has been hit by many drought events since the beginning of 2000. There was a very extreme event in 2015 when the discharge of the Danube was reduced by 1/3 entering the Black Sea. So that's very severe. We had a very strong drought event in 2022 and 2023. The scenarios for climate change are very sincere. You mentioned it, temperature has already increased, will further increase. The winters will get wetter, the summers will get hotter, the drought events will get more intense with the longer duration. Glaciers are prognosed to disappear in the middle basin. They are already getting smaller in the upper basin. That will have an impact on the discharge. So what is also concerning to us is the faster alteration between extreme flood events and drought events. So that also needs to be tackled. Economic damages from droughts must not be neglected. Drought might not be as visible, but the economic effects are actually higher than from floods. And we can say that if we look at the Danube Basin at the moment, droughts is not managed sustainably nor coherently across the basin. So coordination is strongly needed. What are we doing within the frame of the ICPDR? We have developed an ICPDR overview report on droughts, reflecting on policies, methodologies, how are the countries tackling drought topics. And in May this year, the delegations have chosen 3 priorities to be tackled within the ICPDR framework on the basin-wide scale. This is like harmonized identification of low water levels, which is important for the management, harmonized basin-wide monitoring, and capacity building. Before I'm ending, because I know there's not so much time, I want to mention as well that a basin-wide water balance, Danube River Basin water balance is extremely important. And I know within the Danube Region program, this is already tackled, and it will be important to also discuss the results and the future steps regarding this model within the ICPDR to ensure like a coherent management in future. So closing my statement, I think it is very essential to be well prepared for further impacts from climate change and to ensure that we will be able to achieve water resilience, not only nationally, but across the entire Danube River Basin.
Your intervention also underlines that indeed there are things to be done on transnational level or on macro-regional level. Turning a bit towards the regulatory or operational aspect, and partly strategic. One objective of priority area 5 of the USDR is connected to address challenges of water scarcity and drought, which topic is also relevant in many Danube countries, including also Romania. And my questions to Mr. Constantin would be, what are the main regulatory and policy instruments currently in place in both in basin and national level to address water scarcity and drought, and how will the new European water resilience strategy influence their implementation, and what related challenges are, and if you could share your thoughts with me.
Thank you very much for the question, and I want to thank you for inviting me here. I appreciate very much now Danube Regional Program, because in my opinion, you are the carrot of the process of transboundary water management in the Danube. And we are very important for us to participate. Related to your question, is clearly that water management in general cannot be done with this transboundary cooperation. Transboundary cooperation, which is influenced by the European policy. And one of these is the European Union strategy for the Danube River. And particularly, I want to highlight the environmental pillar, which has the water quantity, water quality, environmental risk, including these floods and droughts, and also biodiversity. And I take this opportunity just to remind you that tomorrow it's a side event in which, and I invite you to participate just to see what is happening. Related to the legal framework, that is already mentioned by Ms. Vogel, we have the Danube River Convention at the basin level. And Danube River Convention is our instrument to reach and to implement the European Union policies. As an institution, we have this ICPDR, International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River, where at the political level are taken the main decision. Also, USDR, I will mention again, we have this priority area 5, which is dealing with the environmental risk, out of which drought and water scarcity is very important. As documents, very important in this moment, we have the River Basin Management Plan and Flood Risk Management Plan developed by all 14 countries. And these are including issues related to the management of droughts and water scarcity. It's important to mention that these are taken at the national level by all 14 countries. Doesn't matter if they are EU or non-EU countries, because a political decision has been taken in 2001 that all the Danubian countries will implement the Water Framework Directive and then the Flood Risk Management Directive. At the national level, these are practically implemented by the countries. There are differences, and here we have the challenges of the implementation, because there are differences in legislation, difference in economic development, there are difference in the way in which the impact done by the drought and the water scarcity in different countries, but however, this should be tackled in the future. You said about a European water resilience strategy, which in my opinion now becomes the lighthouse of the water management policy in Europe. Before it was the Water Framework Directive and Flood Directive. And practically this, it's a platform for best practices and promotes by this strategy the innovative practices and technology, and also will promote a better transboundary cooperation. We hope that this strategy will bring together also the financial resources for projects and for infrastructure which is needed to tackle the droughts and water scarcity. And I was very happy to learn that Interreg will receive another 1 billion more. We hope that the Danube will take its share, and we will have much more available resources for the joint project in the Danube region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Constantin. Now let's take another point of view, the agri-food sector. The FAO Europe and Central Asia annual publication in 2024 was focusing on managing water sustainability for improved food security and nutrition. I think that highlights that strong relation of water dependency of that sector. Ms. Kožuhadarova, I would like to ask, I have two questions. One is that from the agri-food sector perspective, how do you see the challenge of water scarcity and drought in the Danube region, and in which part do you see it most considerable? And also from the agri-food sector point of view, how do you see what is needed to improve the efficiency of cooperation and harmonization between the agri-food sector and water management sector and on other main water user sectors to be able to tackle this challenge?
Okay, thank you first very much for the invitation to be part of the panel and the distinguished panelists, and also among the audience that today joined us for these important discussions. And I happily to join because that's why I was to be confirmed. I got a bit of the seasonal flu, but okay, many thanks for all the arrangements. It is a very interesting forum. It is important. I don't believe that the report, FAO report, brought something new or something that we didn't know, but it's a good and always good opportunity to raise some of the questions that we are all aware that hopefully will be addressed under the future program with a bigger budget. This is important. So for today's discussions, when preparing with the colleagues and also with the what to be emphasized and what is the challenge, I think that whatever we discussed today, and as we mentioned at the very beginning, this is to find a way how to address, and the Danube Regional program and all the programs that are around, and in this settlement, which functions more than 35 years, it is there are a number of possibilities. So I will just highlight the main ones, and then it was a fight which one is first one, so it's not in the order of priorities. So what is important and what are key related challenges. The water scarcity is one of the main and then I'm today addressing only from the agri-food perspective and the production. Water infrastructure and aging water infrastructure is also something that affects the food production and then also the food processing. Climate variability, climate change, it was mentioned by Ms. Vogel and the other participants. This is something that really needs and affects our sector, but it's also, there are possibilities to be addressed in the future in the way to reverse it into the trend that might be also very important. For agriculture, for all of us, water pollution is something that is really, really important, and nutrient content also in the waters, and number of regulations and directives in this regard are driving actually our food processing and our food production. And very often the food production or the processes or the agri-food systems should be adjusted to the requirements and enable that we also protect the environment, we also create the better conditions. For the governance, it was mentioned the complex water management governance and the differences between the countries and need for the alignment and for the joint work is also another aspect and another challenge which is I can say that on the level of few member states, it's already addressed to the significant level, but for the pre-accession countries, it's still the challenging and it's still the challenge that can come of course overcome, but it needs a time and adjustments and all these areas. And also the gaps in water data from the aspects of agri-food systems and for the production. Also, these are the parts where we see the challenges, especially in aligning among the countries, and also for the agriculture, but also for the environment, the water monitoring. These are some of the key challenges that were recognized in our work. I mean, I have details, but I mean that the time is it's also very limited to address all of them. But also I would like to emphasize the trends are changing, and whatever we discuss, it's something that is also affected by the countries, and differently reflected in the countries. There are hidden pressures like raising demand for water-intensive animal productions and the products, and especially in the region of Southeast Europe countries, we notice that the trends for consumption, rose of the consumption water increased in the country. So this is the challenge that should be addressed in the future. For the second part of the question, for the how to make the cooperation more efficient, well, I mean, I have several points. Agriculture, water management are two sectors that we should address. Also enhancing water conservation, recycling, reuse, using innovative technologies, also unconventional water sources and their usage, and also the reduce of agriculture footprint is something that should remain as a main challenge in the upcoming period, but can be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kozhurova. Towards the end of our discussion, this panel, I would like to focus on one example of cooperation going on in connection to this topic. The Danube Region program is financing the Danube Water Balance project, which is implementing in cooperation of 20 partners from 11 Danube countries, elaborating the Danube River Basin-wide water balance model. And in this connection, I would like to ask Dr. Kozma, who is representing the Technical University, one key partner in this partnership and in the work of elaboration, to shortly summarize the relevance of this basin-wide model elaboration and usability and what has been achieved so far.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to represent the Danube River Water Balance project partnership here. So several years ago, ICPDR and some of the contracting parties initialized the process to set up a common water management framework for the Danube countries. This was necessary because different countries measure water in sometimes different ways, and they also calculate water availability in different calculation methodology. This can be a burden when there are transnational agreements and integrated water management between different sectors. So our project is a first step to address this long-term task and challenge. And this project has 3 pillars: data collection, setup of a state-of-the-art water balance model for the Danube, and then capacity building among the contracting parties. So we did a comprehensive and very extensive data collection, relying on open data sources, novel data sources like remote sensing of snow data or soil moisture, and then also collected a lot of national data. And we did a data gap analysis, and from this we propose a common data management strategy for the future for the Danube countries. So that is going to be one of the key output of our project, building strongly on Danube HIS maintained by ICPDR. Then the second part of the project is setting up a hydrological model for the Danube basin. This model will be is capable to simulate water movement on land surface and subsurface with a fine spatial and temporal resolution. So the outputs of the model, like groundwater level, discharge data, evaporation. So in general, water availability can serve useful information for different sectors: agriculture, forestry, nation conservation, and so on. And besides describing the actual water availability now, it is also capable to describe future scenarios and assess different adaptation measures. For example, water retention, how would hydropower dam and reservoir operation influence downstream countries, and so on. So that's the second part of the project. And the third part is capacity building. We rely on 4 pilot areas for subcatchment of the Danube. These are the Morava, the Drina, the Tisa, and the Sava, Upper Sava catchment areas, where local experts do their more detailed analysis using the model system. And this can be a very useful tool because here the local water experts really learn how to use the model, and they are also able to spread the news of this new tool for local water experts and also other stakeholders. So basically, these are the 3 major points of our project. I brought some flyers, so if you are interested, I can give you some. And we are happy to collaborate and share our knowledge, and this open source and freely available tool. Actually, our success will be if this model system and the whole framework, water balance framework, will be a co-owned method. So each contracting party, each countries feel that they can collaborate and use this tool together with other countries.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kozma. I would have further questions, but unfortunately time is quite short. So rather than I would close off our discussion here, concluding that as presented by our experts, there are necessary tasks to be done on transnational macro-regional level to address this important challenge of the region. And our program is also there thematically supporting transnational cooperation in this field. And let's hope that the needs and the acts will meet at some point, and useful projects like the Danube water balance will be developed and implemented in the future. With this, first of all, I would like to thank the intervention of the experts, and then we give the floor to talk about some other challenges of the region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, esteemed guests. Thank you very much, Gusztav, for this nice discussion. Maybe you are wondering why we chose this topic. We chose this topic because we think that the water system of the Danube River Basin, it is a strong connecting element between candidate countries and EU member states in the Danube region. And here there is a high potential for cooperation and transnational projects. But now, because we are a bit delayed and lunch is approaching, but I promise you, if you stay until the end, food will taste much better. So we will be all happy to eat. I invite my colleague Stephen Halligan to talk a little bit about the demographic challenge.
Thank you, Simona. And I would say that the first challenge I had then, I don't know if any of you suffer from a sciatic nerve going down your leg, was this challenge of looking at this wide stage and stepping up, but I made it. I'm so pleased that actually the demographic challenge and competitiveness was chosen because I think it affects everybody. It affects the regions, but it affects everybody. I'm sure when you open the media or look at the media from day to day, there's always something which is relevant to this. Perhaps aging population, low birth rates, out-migration, in-migration, and the effects of all this in terms of things like depopulation of regions and the missing human capital for business and this competitiveness aspect to it. And I'd like to look at this challenge, the demographic challenge and competitiveness now by inviting my panel here today. And the first of which is Professor Adnan Efendic from the University of Sarajevo, Professor of Economics, deeply involved in demographic change issues in Bosnia-Herzegovina, recently acted as an expert on a West Balkans study in terms of demographic change. So is an excellent first start to this panel. Thank you. Secondly, I'd like to invite Jörg Mittel from the Federal Ministry of Labour, Social Affairs, Health and Consumer Protection. Jörg is Deputy Head of Staff Unit for Labour Markets and is also very much involved with the ESDR itself. And thirdly, I'd like to invite Professor Martin Segar from the Rochester Institute of Technology. He can tell us more about the project Dynamic Danube. And so Dynamic Danube is one of the projects in the Danube Region program. And so very pleased to have Martin here today. So, I mean, here we are. We're all seated now here in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in its beautiful capital, Sarajevo. And so it's right and fitting, I think, that I first turn to Professor Adnan Efendic and ask him, just quite simply, what is the situation here in Bosnia and Herzegovina in terms of the demographic challenge and competitiveness? How is it moving forward? What is the situation?
Okay, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here today and to discuss this important topic, not only for Bosnia, but actually for the whole region, I would say. But in particular, this issue is relevant and challenging for this country because this country has witnessed a lot of emigration in the past, actually after the Second World War, which resulted that we have one of the biggest diasporas practically in Europe, and the size of our diaspora is estimated to be over 50% of the population which lives here. So we have huge diaspora. We have emigration, still quite strong emigration intentions in the country, especially among the young population groups, which affected, of course, the labor market, which affected the demography, and also this has been combined, or this had been combined with negative demographic trends. So obviously this is a challenge for this country because human capital is apparently affected, and through human capital, everything else in this economy, including competitiveness. However, I don't want to be too pessimistic here. We do have also signs of return, especially recently. We have those who emigrated for economic reasons, but we now have returnees who are coming back also for economic reasons. We did one study and we could identify them. I don't want to say that these are huge percentages in the context of our population, but we do have some signs of returns as well. What is important to say regarding the Danube region is that actually emigration from Bosnia was happening primarily within this region. So if we talk about neighboring countries, the biggest diaspora communities are in Croatia and Serbia. If we're talking about the EU, the biggest Bosnian diaspora in Slovenia, in Croatia, again, because it is the EU, Austria, Germany, and in Switzerland. So obviously we have a lot of population living in this region, which is also potential. I mean, we can discuss this later on. And what is also important to say is that our diaspora and our population living in outside of this country is quite attached to this country, which is good, which also can be huge potential in the future to support development of this country. So they are attached to this country. And also in the context of contemporary migrations, it is not the case anymore that we have permanent emigration from the country, but we have a lot of now examples of seasonal migration, temporary migration, and also examples of those living and working in two countries, living in Bosnia and working in some of the neighboring countries. So a lot of dynamics are around migration. It is difficult to say everything within a few minutes, but probably I should stop here, and if you have some other questions, we can move on.
Thank you. Very good timing. I was expecting you to drift on a bit, and I was having to cut in, but no, excellent. Jörg, can I turn to you then in terms of the transnational impact of this demographic change, particularly on labour markets and competitiveness, and also the importance of cooperation itself across the region?
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Thank you for being here. Every year we meet the Danube crowd, and as a moderator, you have ministers, and usually, like today, the moderator says, oh, the Danube has 14 countries and 115 million people. Well, the 14 countries is still right, but we have this Danube Region monitor that you can download from today, I guess, and it tells 109.7 million people in the Danube region, which is less than 115 million. So what hampers the competitiveness in the Danube region a lot is a declining work population. So what do? You can get people back from abroad. You can try to get qualified immigration. But let's say if at home you have a leaking pipe and the water is flowing out of this pipe, do you call a plumber or do you call for more water to come in? You call a plumber. And that brings me to how we can integrate people in the labor market that are not even in the unemployment statistics. So that's what we call in labor market policy, the labor market slack. Let's say women who want to work full-time, but they can't because there's a lack of childcare, handicapped people who don't find the right jobs for them, but who would like to work, marginalized people. It can also be a territorial aspect, remote villages, the Roma communities, and so on and so forth. So this would be the solution for me, and where we can also cooperate how to activate the labor market slack, how to activate these groups. And when I look at the Danube program projects, I know that down and some of them we finance as Austrian ministry, also co-finance the Austrian partners. You have Integrate focusing on the older people who would like to work, or for women, the WIN project, the Farm to Forest project, the Back on Track, the Co-Power, and so on. So also a focus on young people who would like to work more or don't have the right skills. So all of that you will find in the Danube program. But now I'm here for the strategy, and strategy is more than cooperation. It's also about investment. So we also have a look at providing consultancy to these projects, but also how to steer investment in the Danube region. That's why we have the ESF network together with the Pier 10 institutional cooperation. And we also have a study, the Danube Monitor, where you can read a lot more about these topics than I would be able to tell you today. And I invite you to download this and have a look. Also today, we have received the update for the candidate countries. When you look into the chapter 19, will read a lot that the labor markets of the candidate countries need to be more inclusive. So that's really where we can cooperate on for a wider and deeper union and in order to close the skills gap. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jörg. And finally, may I turn to Professor Zegar from Rochester Institute of Technology. A very interesting project the professor also works on, and that's called Dynamic Danube. It's one of our projects, and it works with small family farms in regions which need some initiatives to keep their workforce. And it'd be really interesting just to hear a small snippet about this project.
Thank you first, Stephen, for inviting me here. I hope you can hear me well, but I can also, speak louder. That shouldn't be a problem. So I'm proud here to present the Dynamic Danube project. So what you said, it's about the small family farms and equipping them with knowledge, with experience, and connecting them basically with the other small family farms in the basically rural area. Because if you talk about the Danube region, most of the region is rural oriented. So from that end, and this is happening in Croatia in many occasions, you have strong depopulation. And the fact is that basically this is rural depopulation. Those people, once they leave, road, that's it. They won't come back. But what if, so these are the problems. We heard the problems and it's the fact, right? It's not only Croatia, it's the whole region. But what if we equip them with, for example, some knowledge, with some, so I'm, by the way, I'm now talking about demographics and depopulation, and I'm IT professor. But what if equip them with some IT knowledge skills? What if they will have better ability to put their products on the market with some platforms, digital platforms that are available? I mean, in Croatia, we have a couple of them. If they join together, if they see some good practices, for example, in Hungary, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Serbia, in Austria, they would be more, definitely more capable of putting together their products on the market. Once they will be putting that in their comfort zone, because currently it's out of their comfort zone, they're afraid, they are afraid of sending an email. We have a couple of examples of, no, please call me on phone, I don't want to communicate with you over email. So this is still happening, it's year 2025, right? So just basic skills, if you boost their capacity, boost their self-esteem, then they will be able to produce better products, better produce them on the market. Basically, at the end, they will stay there because nobody is going to leave their place. If they can live there, they can live on its own. They're leaving, the population is there just because, they're trying to find a better lives, right? So if we enable them better lives there, here, we resolved majority, I mean, always there will be somebody who will go abroad, but we'll resolve majority of those problems.
Thank you very much, Professor. Now, I'd like you to imagine now that this is some sort of a magic wand and that you can decide on an important topic or two that you feel that we can say yes to now. It's purely imaginary, of course, we haven't got the money, but the topics, one or two topics that you feel are very appropriate for transnational cooperation and which you would think are appropriate for from your perspective. We'll start with Professor Effenberg.
Okay, I think I will use two words which are, in my opinion, essential to Bosnia, but also to the countries in the wider region. These are collaboration and also diaspora, as I have already discussed, to be important for our perspective. In my opinion, it is important. Obviously, demographic challenges exist everywhere. It's almost everywhere, not only in Bosnia or Croatia, but in the whole Southeast Europe and in most of the Danube countries. So instead of competing for the human capital, I think we should try to do more to collaborate how to use the human capital in the best way, especially if we have cross-border potentials for cross-border collaboration of the labor force. So collaboration is very important, is very essential to avoid competition, but to strengthen collaboration. And in the context of Bosnia and Herzegovina, since we have a huge diaspora abroad, I think diaspora is important. It can help to modernize the economy. It can help to improve entrepreneurship in this country by bringing new experience, which is happening actually within this region. And this is something that should be supported, and it should bring gains to particular countries, to Bosnia, but also to the region as a whole as well. So these are, I think, two most important issues from my perspective.
I thought about it. So the first issue, the two of us, we have already discussed it a few weeks ago. It would be Roma integration on the labor markets. We had a big conference with the Romanian Minister for Labor recently in Vienna. And many of the actors who do national projects in that field in Austria would like to, or are already working with Interreg as well, but would like to have this topic, would like to have a project in this field, more transnational cooperation, because they think it makes sense. And I believe it's also a topic that is strongly connected to the Danube region as such, where everybody, every pedestrian on the street understands that it's about the Danube region, like the water of the Danube. The second topic I was thinking about, it's very special, but I think it's something that the Danube region needs. It's a closer cooperation of public employment services and territorial development. Also for the deindustrialized regions, I know there are already projects in this field, but to work also with the public employment services would really make sense. And if you want to discuss this more tomorrow at 11:30, we will have a meeting where we dig deeper into these topics of skills and digital skills and green skills. So yeah, those are my two.
Questions, Zagar?
I mean, I'm biased. I mean,
Yeah.
from my end, it's one simple growth, and the growth is education, right? So joint education, transport education, but education, because if people know what they're doing, if they have the confidence in what the state-of-the-art technology bring to them, it will be easier for them, for everybody. So they won't be afraid. So if they're educated enough, they have skill set, you provided everything. It's there on their own.
I know you're all probably getting very hungry now. We're approaching 2 o'clock. Simona will close this, but just a few messages coming out of that. Cooperation is clearly important. I took the words about it's not all about competition. We need to collaborate as well. That we do have initiatives that can help. It's not going to solve the problem by itself, but we have initiatives which are part of the puzzle to bring this together. There are good signs when we talk about returnees, and there's diaspora to work with. So it's a big challenge, but there are positives within it. And on that note, I'd like to thank you, and I invite Simona to close on the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, esteemed guests. Thank you, Steve, for this moderation. It's very difficult to draw a conclusion on the demographic challenges based on the discussion, because it is a rather complex topic which affects different aspects of life, from competitiveness to well-being of small settlements, which we know that they are more challenged by the lack of skills and human capital. But nevertheless, I think this is the start of the discussion, and because our program is the first time financing this kind of topics related to the social issues and related to education and integration on the labor market, I think that there is a future in this topic. That's why we put it here on the table, without disconsidering the importance of several other topics that the region needs to address. But now, because lunch is approaching, I just had one slide, but I can talk without the slide, because I wanted to tell you about the opportunities for cooperation that we offer as a program. You know, we have a third call open now. We offer a limited amount of money, unfortunately, because there is none left, almost none left. We have 27.3 million euro available for this call for several topics and several specific objectives. But I would like to draw your attention on the fact that they are targeted towards specific topics. So we will not finance the projects submitted that have themes that are outside the scope of this call. We finance certain one topic related to innovation and skills, and it's related to artificial intelligence. But be aware, if you want to apply, this addresses public authorities. So we don't finance development of artificial intelligence software. This is not in the scope of our program. We have the environmental topics open, including energy, but minus biodiversity. And we have the two social topics open. Culture is closed, unfortunately, because we don't have any more money. And we have a couple of topics on governance, which I will not detail now, all of them, because yes, lunch is closed. But if you have questions or you have projects that are under development, please address my colleagues who are thematically responsible for the priorities, and they will guide you through the, including the thematic of the project, and they will guide you also for the application process. I think that without further ado, I thank everyone very much for bearing with us here today in our annual event, which we managed to squeeze in 1 hour and a half. So such major topics to be discussed. So thank you very much. And yes, I wish you an enjoyable lunch.